Alright, what's going on, everyone? Today we're going to go run through the tier list of all of these weapons in Battlefield 2042, right? With the hindsight of all the new games coming out. I still keep getting asked on stream, hey, what's the meta? Like, what's the best guns to use? This and that. So I was like, alright, I'm bored. Let's make a tier list, right? So I Googled this very quick template, and I found some pictures, and I'm like, let's knock this shit out. So, first things first, just realize that the portal weapons are trash, okay? So, that being said, we're just going to go down the line. We'll start off with the sidearms, into the ARs, SMGs, LMGs, snipers, DMRs, and shotguns. Quote-unquote shotguns, because the GVT is not a shotgun. But anyways, starting with the sidearms here, so you've got the G57, the Magnum, the MP28, and then the PF51. I couldn't find images of the new weapons in the game, so this is the staple from the Season Pass image. So we're going to treat those as their own images, right? So PF51 immediately S tier. It's not it's not a sidearm, okay? It's a pocket P90, whatever you want to call it. It's an SMG. It's not a sidearm. Anyways, the MP28, I actually think this is probably A tier. It is a pocket V-car, does great damage, get a 28 round mag with it, good recoil control, etc. You can trigger finger this pretty effectively. If you're good with the controller or the mouse click. So very effective, good range, good damage, no complaints with it. Downside, reload is really long. That's about it. Along with the G57, we're going to move that to B tier. And the only reason it's not an A tier sidearm is because it is most effective in the burst mode. And generally speaking, I run this hipfire with the laser sight anyways. So most of the time I'm not ADSing this to begin with, and it's a bullet hose, right? If you run it in burst, and if you use a drum mag, you only get, you know, one drum in reserve. Now they did increase the magazine reserve pool, which is pretty neat, but it still doesn't compete with the PF51. The Magnum, we're just gonna relabel this thing the bin, right? So come on. You know what? Whatever. This is the bin. This black line, it's the bin. If you're in here, it's the bin. Don't use it, right? Cool. So the reason this is so bad is it's a single lever action revolver. Why in 2042 we have a single lever action? Don't know why. Can't ask. Been asking for a double action revolver forever. I don't think it's going to happen. So here you go. Everyone gets the catered full auto SMG pistol. Congrats, guys. So they did get a buff recently to do 100 meters, one tap headshot. Cool. Okay, whatever. Why am I going to pick it over the PF51? I don't know. Why would I pick it over the MP28 or the G57? I don't know. The only reason anyone runs this Magnum, besides myself when I was getting clips with it, is because it is the highest skill weapon sidearm in the game, and you can hit some pretty nice clips with it. Other than that, it is not really feasible to run as a optional secondary weapon in case you run out of ammo and there's a lot of people you're trying to wipe off the map, and you switch to this and you shoot and you watch your character pull back the hammer and you're like, why? This is 2042, it shouldn't do this, but whatever. Moving on to the SMGs. So you've got the K30, not even to talk about it. We all know. PBX actually gets up into the A tier. And the reason this is an A tier is because the close combat rounds on this gun did not get touched for the damage model nerf. So while the SMGs did get a huge headshot multiplier nerf, the close combat rounds still do 28 to the body. So you can still 4-tap people, not even bothering hitting a headshot. So the time to kill on this is still pretty quick. 35 round mag, you know, it's in line with the M5. Essentially, in my opinion, the PBX is a better pocket M5 with better mobility. So it actually does have more damage output than the M5, but I have noticed that range, the M5 is a little more consistent with the bloom and the damage output, just because there's less bloom, so you get more bullets on target. So, but in the close combat rounds, clearing out buildings, going through, doing CQC, the PBX is still better than the M5. MP9 actually gets moved down to B tier. I would almost say the MP9 at one point was S tier, but because of the heavy nerf to the headshot multiplier. This thing is only doing 27.5 to the head. So even if I land 1 headshot, it is still a 5 bullet to kill. You need to land 2 headshots and 2 body shots for it to be a 4 bullet to kill. So it's got great accuracy. It's mobile. It's fast. The drum mag is the only heavy hitter for the reload time. Other than that, I mean, it's still a good gun. It's viable. It makes sense. But with the headshot multiplier being as bad as it is, it falls short of the A tier. Just my opinion. PB29, the Bison, my most kill weapon in the game. It is S tier, and the reason it is S tier is it does assault rifle damage at assault rifle range, and the recoil is very manageable with standard rounds. So it's like I had 65 rounds of like go piss off, and so I don't have to reload. You can easily hit 6, 7, 8, 9 man feeds without having to reload. So in almost some cases, it's kind of like a pocket LMG. Yeah, no, maybe, I don't know, right? 64 rounds, 65, right? So it's really good. Once you get the recoil down, it's money. I believe that's all the SMGs, so let's go to the ARs. The Scar. It's S tier, okay? It's just S tier. 60 to the head after the recent headshot damage buff from 2 to 2.15. And it's got an underbarrel grenade launcher. Annoying, by the way. Good recoil control. The skin that you can buy for it to get the neat little quote-unquote pay-to-win red dot sight makes it a little bit easier to stay on target, in my opinion. But again, it's not necessarily pay-to-win. It's all opinion. But regardless of the fact, it is S tier meta, right? M5, unfortunately, is in the A tier now. I would say the M5 was S tier at one point. It's not anymore. And that's because of the nerf to the close combat rounds on it. But with the headshot multiplier, it actually made the close combat rounds a little bit more viable. Now the close combat rounds do 47 to the head. So it's a 3 bullet to kill if you land a headshot, right? You land 2 headshots and they're low, you kill them now. So, I mean, it's up there in damage, but it's not as good as it was. It used to 2-shot to the head. It used to do 52 to the head with the close combat rounds. Now, you can caveat this and go back to the standard rounds. But I prefer the faster reload. I'm losing 5 rounds with close combat rounds, but I get the higher rate of fire mixed with the short barrel, right? So I pretty much build the M5 to be an SMG as much as I can. And that's the build that I run. So in any case, the AC-42 is definitely Charlie tier. It's not that good of a gun. I use the gun a lot on stream, and people are always talking about it too. They're like, well, I don't know how you can use the AC-42. Like, how do you enjoy this thing? Well, the stats on it says 1200 RPM. You can full auto this gun. And what I mean by full auto is you can get the cadence down to shoot this thing and burn the mag pretty quick, almost as fast as a K30. But you got to be very consistent with the timing on the trigger pull, either on your controller or on the mouse. There is a video that I made for it on YouTube as well. It's a little confusing, and it's about as best as I can explain on how to do it. But it is definitely a high set skill set mechanic, and once you get it down pat, it's really good. But for the average player, it is not that great. And with all the nerfs that the AC-42 has gotten since the game has come out till now, it's not as good as it once was. But if you can knock out that full auto feature that's hidden in there, it's money. Okay. Other than that, no. It's an average gun, I'd say. The AM-40, I'd almost say put this in the bin for now. But because it's got a high rate of fire and the damage at SMG range is somewhat viable, it's okay. It's not good, but it's fine. And what I mean by that is the headshot multiplier is on SMGs, not AR. So it's doing 1.25, not 2.15. So it does not matter if I land a headshot with this gun right now. It does no damage. So until that gets fixed, it's almost in the bin, but we'll call it D tier for now. Once it gets fixed, I would almost say that this gun will instantly jump up to A tier or even be S tier. We'll see how it plays out when it gets fixed, and I'll test it out after that. But the magazines are bugged as well, and the headshot multiplier does not match. So with those two things in mind, this gun really almost needs to get put in the bin. But we'll keep it at D tier because it does it does still shred up close. It's got a high rate of fire. It can compete with the other SMGs and the other ARs up close, but outside of that, in the AR range, it loses every fight just because it does not have the damage output that it needs. I think the last one's the M16, right? In the bin. Outside of the LVG attachment for this thing, it goes in the bin. I've already hit on this multiple times, but it has the same PKP recoil spread pattern. So the recoil on this gun acts like it's an LMG, and it's not. So I'm not really sure how that got coded over from Portal to All Out Warfare, but from what I understand from a lot of the controller players, the M16's recoil is almost borderline unusable. And for me, the only way I can use the M16 is with the heavy barrel, and that's almost backwards, right? You want the standard barrel for less recoil. But for some reason, the heavy barrel makes the aggressive vertical recoil more predictable and easier to pull down on my mouse. It might just be a placebo thing or something for me. I don't know, but that's how I run it. In any case, the gun itself, in the bin. The LVG, insanely broken. If I could have like a nuclear tier where it's just the most broke thing I've ever seen in the game so far, that's where it would go. Until that gets fixed, it stays in the bin. All right, so for LMGs, we have the Avanti, the LCMG, the M60. I couldn't get like an actual image of in game, but and the PKP. Avantis, it's already S tier. It's gonna stay S tier even after they fix it. It doesn't do the correct headshot multiplier, but it has literally no recoil. And I've played it with a controller and on mouse and keyboard. I mainly play mouse and keyboard. I was challenged to use it on a controller one day on stream. I was actually really surprised that it had no recoil. None. That 30% recoil reduction on controller is a real thing. Now, that doesn't mean that every player can take advantage of that and manipulate the game to their whim, but for somebody who is played, you know, the amount of hours that I have and played prior games and things like that, I've got all these years of shooter experience. The fact that this thing does not move on controller is kind of terrifying. But headshot multiplier isn't set correctly. It's SMG multiplier, not LMG multiplier. This thing is going to be all over the kill feed once this thing gets fixed, if they don't nerf the recoil a little bit on top of that. The LCMG, I'd say it's A tier when you build it with a short barrel close combat rounds. Even put a suppressor on it with the close combat rounds, this thing shreds. The rate of fire on it's good. Headshot multiplier is good. You land 2 shots in the head out to 29 meters. It kills you. It's good. There's nothing more to say about it. The PKP, I'm going to say B tier just because of the lack of customization to it. But its base setup with the grip and the high power rounds and everything else, its rate of fire, it's good. It's got that weird wonky initial recoil, and then after that, it's a laser beam, right? So, but it doesn't have the customizations of the LCMG or the Avon for that matter. So that's where it goes. M60, this thing just needs to get. This is the bin. This is like go back to the drawing board with this thing. I'm sorry. This thing has the lowest rate of fire in the game, and the damage is okay, right? It does 28 to the body, so 56 to the head. Sure. Dude, its rate of fire is so bad. Its first shot accuracy is so bad. Its sprint to fire time is so bad. Everything about this gun is terrible. The only saving grace for this thing is that it does 2 shots to the head within 30 meters. Neat. But, I mean, outside of that, it does not matter. The amount of bullets you're throwing out compared to a K30 and M5, even in the AK or even the SCAR, it just doesn't compete. You just can't compete with it. And the lack of attachments for the portal guns are just, I don't have anything to help with recoil besides a foregrip. There's no barrel attachment to help with the recoil. You get a flash hider and a suppressor. So, I mean, lack of attachments. Time to kill on this is terrible. So, that's all I gotta say to that. Oh, and I did miss an AR at the AK. AK goes in B tier. Personal opinion, okay? I think this gun floats around the A and B tier just because of the damage is good, the rate of fire is okay, you've got good customization, you can really turn this thing into a laser beam, you can even kind of run this as like a pocket DMR if you want with a high power scope and high power rounds on it, like sure. But at the end of the day, unless you land a headshot against an M5, you're never winning against the M5 up close, let alone any of the SMGs. Now, that doesn't mean that, oh, well, I use the AK and I win up close all the time, blah, 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 because I hit my shots. Yeah, you should. If you hit your shots, you should. The gun is that good, right? The gun is good enough to perform well up close, but this is more of a medium range AR, and this does well outside of 50 meter range. So, with all that being said, that's why I put it in B tier. Cool. So that's the LMGs. Touch on the one AR real quick. Let's go through the DMRs real fast, right? The BSV. I'm not even gonna talk about this. It's still busted. The only saving grace for this gun is they increased the penalty to full auto spread on it, and they dropped the 3-shot bullet to killer range from 150 to 75. So on paper, they cut it in half, which is good, but this gun is still annoying as shit to play against. Also, they did add tracers to the rounds, so at least you can see where the bullets are coming from. So that's cool, I suppose. But this gun is still easy mode, and everyone's running it. Drives me insane. DM7 is actually A tier. People kind of sleep on this thing a whole lot. If you play aggressive with this gun and you run either like a 1x or a 2x with the close combat rounds, this thing has 0 kick. 0. And it's, I mean, to the point where I only run factory barrel and a laser sight on this thing with the close combat rounds. It just doesn't move. Doesn't move. Neat little gun to play around with and have fun with, but it's definitely up there. People sleep on it, but it is a very good starter gun for people who want to play at that kind of like medium range and kind of post up and sit back with the standard rounds, right? If you want to get the 3-shot bullet to kill range, you got to play a little closer to the close combat rounds, but you know, you can run the standard rounds and play a little bit more passive and still be fairly effective and land some kills without having to expose yourself too much on the battle space, right? SVK, dude, for me, I hate it. It's Charlie. It's a C tier weapon for me. I think overall too. The only saving grace for it is that a 2-shot weapon to a pretty far range. It's a 149 meter 2-shot with high power rounds, and I believe it's 109 with standard rounds. So cool. But again, I play aggressive. I don't want to use this gun. Aggressive play is not in this gun's mantra at all. It is a I sit back, I 2-tap you, you die. That is what this thing is. So if you like that play style, it might be higher up for you, but overall, with all the other choices in the game, it's not even close. Same thing with the V-Car. It's in the Charlie tier too. It's fun to play aggressive with, but man, the damage drop off is bad. The only thing it's got going for it really is the rate of fire. You can trigger finger this, and you can shoot it pretty quickly, and you get up close, maybe you 2-shot people in the head with it, so that's kind of cool. And it's got a 40-round drum mag, so you got a lot of bullets to play with, but again, it is a close quarter DMR. It is not really a DMR, but it's one of these things where we said that, hey, this would be neat if the V-Car got full auto in the game. It never got the full auto. We got a BSV with full auto anyways, so it makes no sense to me. Sweet, let's kind of run through the meme guns, and by meme guns, I mean like the shotguns and the snipers, right? So, NTW, I'm really on the fence with this. I'm going to put it in the B tier, though, just because of the rate of fire. They did kind of give it a slight buff fairly recently within the last few months, where if you shoot the tracks on a tank, it does bonus damage and things like that. So that's pretty neat. But beforehand, this gun I would say is A tier before they nerfed it. This thing was like 5-shotting tanks and 4-shotting Wildcats with the high power rounds on it. So that was pretty nutty. But they did fix that. And the standard rounds will 1-shot infantry out to 149 meters. And by 1-shot, I mean it'll 1-shot. It does 120 across the board. It does not matter if you have armor or not, they die. So that is the good thing about it. Downside, super slow rate of fire, super slow ADS speed, super slow reload time, all that stuff, right? So they got to penalize it pretty hard, right? Because it's a one-hit wonder cannon, and everybody hates dying to it, right? So the SWS, I'd say it's A tier overall. Good rate of fire, good bullet drop. You can also quickscope. It's the only real one you can effectively quickscope with. You can with the NCW. And I see people do it because, you know, you hit the shot, they die, right? You're guaranteed that kill if you hit them. This one, you're doing 110 damage out to 20 meters. So if they're not wearing armor, or if they only have the 10 armor, they will die in that one shot. There have been plenty of runs where I've had quick scoping where I will die to that person because I shoot them, they get 5 HP, and I'm trying to either shoot them again, or I'm trying to swap to my sidearm. I just can't do it because we're shooting each other at the same time I hit them. So You just die. So armor's annoying in the game, but it is what it is. But outside of the quick scoping, the sniper at even like medium long range to long range with the extended barrel and the standard rounds, even the high power rounds make the bullet drop almost non-existent. So that's pretty cool, I guess, if you like to do traditional sniping. That's where that goes. DXR, it's still bugged. It would be A tier with the SWS if the rechamber from the pull from the bolt to the reload animation for racking it again lined up with the animation. It still does not do that. So with all that being said, it's I can't give this gun any higher than a B tier for me. The bullet drop off for this though is almost non-existent out to 250 meters with the high power rounds. If you just want to like quote unquote hit scan people and sit back, DXR 8x scope, even a 10x scope, high power rounds, and you just go play in the sand with the sniper and go prone or whatever, stand up. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Just go play normal sniper and you'll have fun with this gun. Cool. So shotguns, right? And lever actions and the meme thing. Let's just cover the crossbow. This goes in the bin, okay? I don't know why this was put in the game. This is 1000% a meme weapon. I got this thing tier 1 and I hated every second of it. Actually, I almost hated it more than doing the M60. I will say I hated getting the M60 done more than I hated getting the crossbow done, because with the crossbow, you could play and quickscope people with the high power bows because it did one shot to out to 29 meters. So you could still play aggressive with it like you would do with the sniper. If you played aggressive sniper, you could, you know, quickscope people with it, get behind cover and reset. So like you had that little mechanic to it, but outside of that, the explosive tips on it do almost no damage to vehicles. Almost have no AoE splash to infantry. The bolt rack on it is stupid. It one-shots to 7 meters on infantry. It's why am I doing that to myself? It's not a semi-auto with the bolt rack either. So you still have to rechamber the bow to get another arrow in the rack. With that, you would think that with the 5 rounds loaded in, it would be semi-automatic. It's not, so disappointing. In the bin. I do not recommend it to anybody unless you want to tier 1 all the weapons like I have, because it gives me something to do. The MCS, yeah, it's still trash. Sorry, pump shotgun. Before they fixed the flechette rounds doing 40 damage, this was an A tier gun because the flechettes were doing double the one-shot kill range. So they did fix it and put it back to 20. So the shotgun does one shot to 20 meters. Again, kind of where it should sit, right? It's a shotgun. It should do that. Slug rounds are a little bit lackluster, and the fact that you can't put a sniper scope on the shotguns to kind of like troll with slug rounds and use it as a sniper rifle is a little disappointing. So this kind of forces your hand to play close combat, close quarters with it. They did hit the buckshot one-shot kill range to like 14 meters, but I mean, you hit him with half the pellets. Like the double-aught buck does do a lot of damage, but the range on it got hit real hard. So that's why I use the number 4 now. It does the one shot to 20 meters, and it's fairly consistent. I've actually noticed it being more consistent than any of the other rounds you can pick, and I put it with a laser sight on it. So the 12M auto also goes into the Narnia tier. It is S tier. It's ridiculous. The slug round still one-shot you to like 150 meters. Okay, you can meme gun this thing with slug rounds and a 2x on it. Also, it has no hip fire spread with the slug, so you put the center dot that's inside of the big circle that you have on your screen. You aim the center dot on the person, it'll hit them 9 out of 10 times without ADSing. So that's a problem. On top of, you know, you got the drum mag, 21 rounds of like go fuck yourself, right? So, and it has insane range, you know what I mean? So you can still 5, 6, 7 shot somebody out to like AR range with the buckshot drum mag on it, which is just silly to me, but here we are. I don't think I have to say anything else about the gun. It's pretty silly. The gun itself, I consider it a overpowered meme weapon. So, and then the GVT 45. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. It's kind of with the AIM 40. This is probably the only gun in the game that I would consider a D tier weapon out the gate. Probably because it has 6 rounds for both the high power and the standard. There's no reason to run standard rounds. The reload time is almost negligible for the increase that you get for it. And if you run standard rounds, actually has a headshot drop off. So you won't actually one-shot somebody in the head with the standard rounds out to like X amount of meters. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I haven't tested it recently. But the high power rounds, indefinite, 120 to the head, right? Now, it's really hard to level this gun up without going into playing solo, right? For most people, you go play solo, unlock the weapon attachments against the AI, and you go play. The ideal loadout for this thing is to put the 6X on it with the high power rounds, and then just go to town, right? Use like a sniper rifle, and it's fun. You can quickscope with it. They did nerf the one-shot range back from 19 meters down to 5 meters, so it is not as busted as it was when they silent buffed it. And then when the game first came out, this thing never one-shot to the body, ever, at any range. Even point blank, it would always be a 2-shot. So the fact that it has a 5-meter one-shot kill range is pretty cool. But it is one of the highest skill set weapons in the game. Not everyone is Ravik. Not everyone is me. Not trying to throw my ego out there or anything like that. I've got thousands of hours in this game, right? Like I personally don't even use the GVT anymore. Like I run the SWS when I want to play aggressive with sniper rifles. It's just the SWS. It's the most fun to use. It's the most viable one out of the options too. So don't I'm not trying to discourage anybody. I'm just giving you like the facts of the gun. Is a very high skill set weapon. So it does have a lot of rewarding feeling to it. If you land, you know, a kill chain, right? You land a couple of those headshots, 3-4 headshots in a row. It's pretty satisfying, but outside of that, it's not viable. I don't really see a lot of people enjoying themselves using it. It's just kind of there. Anyways, guys, if you liked the tier list nonsense, because we're bored and we like doing these kind of things, let me know in the comment section below. Actually, I'm more curious to hear about your guys' opinions on this stuff. So, like, let me know if you think my tier list is remotely close or accurate, or if you think something should be somewhere else. I'm really interested to see what you guys think, because of, you know, with Gundam coming out and COD coming out and how disappointing the COD beta is right now, which I'm seeing a lot of, and that's a whole other debate for another time. But I just felt like, hey, we can do this together. Why not? But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment. I'm definitely curious to see what you guys think. Until next time, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.